that, getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows. Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Formula V Weekend Warriors. This is round number 10 of the season, coming to you today from Oulton Park. My name is Ron Maunz. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Joshua Wilkie, who's also working on the cameras and the graphics in the virtual production hauler. Well, Josh, we're here at an old school racetrack in these old school cars where we expect to have some old school fun. Oulton Park is a bit on the drafty end, and considering these cars are on the drafty end as well, I think we're in for probably a very good race here today.
Yeah, absolutely, Ron. This place, a little technical, a little bit drafty, definitely some pitfalls around here. Real easy to go off the road here and hit a wall. You can see here we're going into the chicane. Those tire bundles do not move even a millimeter. They're basically like concrete, and they're pretty easy to rip a tire off on. And there's a few other spots on this track like that as well, as we were coming into the right-hand kink here. Not an easy course, or sorry, not an easy corner. Actually, we're going to get the other chicane, and then this right-hand kink here, not an easy one. And then a pretty good drag down this section as well. So we're going to get a bit of drafting today too. Should be a very interesting race out there.
And you brought up a fantastic point already, talking about those killer inside tire bundles around this racetrack. They're pretty much giant chunks of flint, and you didn't want to hit them in these Formula Vs. Otherwise, you're going to be in for a world of hurt. Do want to thank the sponsor of today's broadcast, Wayne Buttermore, for making it all happen. Wayne Buttermore and BFI Consulting Incorporated. You can see the logo up there in the top right corner. About to get some lap time set, though, here in this qualifying session. Waiting to see who may be able to set these times and who can be the quickest here in this solo 15-minute long 4-lap session, as is usual here in this series. Andy Middleton and Guido Marzucchi already jumping up into the board right now, and many of the racers that you'll see out here on the racetrack are actually running in the SCCA iRacing runoffs that have been going on. That's still going on. In fact, the broadcast on the iRacing Esports Network and RaceBot TV is still going on, in fact. But nice to see a lot of the Weekend Warriors staple running out there. Many of the Formula V drivers were out there in the Formula V race, including Guido, we will not mention, who my esteemed RaceBot TV colleague, Mr. Arjuna Kakapati, called him during the other broadcast. That was an interesting pronunciation for sure. As I think that may have just come back to bite him with Guido spinning through the hairpin.
Yeah, definitely. He was probably thinking about being called, I believe it was Jacuzzi earlier, and that'll make you spin any day of the week. That may be his new nickname, Guido Mar Jacuzzi, from now on, possibly. We'll see how that one sticks, but doing really, really well here again. Guido has been on fire lately. He's, again, top of the board here. Wondering how he did today in the runoffs, actually. I didn't have a chance to check that out, but he has been doing really good lately, especially in the Vs here, so definitely a threat today. Andy Middleton just behind him, Nate Colacio, then our first Masters driver of Alan DeGassis. Just behind him will be Chris Montgomery, and then we have, I'm going to mention Michelle Lynn, our series admin here, can't miss her there in sixth place as we're on board here with Robin Howlett. Maybe we'll jump on board for a lap here with him, Ron.
I think that may be a good idea. This track is rather complicated, and let's have a look at heading down into turn number 1. Got to worry about the runoff area on the outside of it. Not a lot of it, but can be a little bit inviting. A bit of lattice there on the outside can allow you to utilize a bit more room, but again, the slowdowns can come back to bite you on the butt. The same could be said about this downhill left-hander, turn number 3 on this racetrack. A small little blip up through there, and you could be in for a world of hurt. And speaking of, this is turn number 4, one of the quickest turns, if not the quickest turn on the entirety of this racetrack. Flat out in almost any car, it leads you straight into turn number 5. This is the Shell Oils corner, the Shell Oils hairpin, the bowl, as I like to call it. A little bit of banking to help you along as you head your way out of there. Got a slingshot out of it as you head your way in the small little flat out blast. All through the first of these fiddly chicanes, you got those chunks of flint on the inside, disguised as tire barriers. I don't even think flint does it justice. It's probably just pure obsidian or bedrock, even Minecraft bedrock at that. It's absolutely indestructible. Got a small little flat out blast. Now you got crackle down the run into the second of these clunky chicanes. A bit more on the open end, bit more on the bigger end for this second one, but still very tough. A good overtaking opportunity, but can be very easy for your race to go to pot with a small little off-track moment through there as you head your way out of Knickerbrook in through the final sector of this lap. Kind of feels like the track starts to repeat itself, a little bit like Groundhog Day as you head your way now through this turn. A lot of elevation change to help you along, a lot of elevation change to hurt you as you crest your way over the hill, under the bridge. Not the first time that you go under a bridge here or an overpass at Oulton Park. This track does feel like Groundhog Day in the sense that it starts to feel like it's repeating itself. And now as you head your way out of the final corner under another bridge, this track does feel like it repeats itself, much like Groundhog Day. That's a lap with Robin Howlett as he's currently qualified in 10th. Will he improve on that 158.8? He does not.
Yeah, no improvement there on that one, and you can see him. You know, the line around here is just so very important, and maybe not, ever as important as it will be in the Vs. A few difficult sections there for sure. The two chicanes, obviously, pretty difficult. Druids, very, very difficult corner there with that double apex. You really got to get it slowed down. Very counterintuitive sort of corner, and there's a few corners like that around here where the apex is late, or it's just kind of out there a little bit, maybe where you wouldn't expect it to be. So it's going to be difficult, really easy to make mistakes around here. So again, I think today really is going to be a game of errors. It's who can go out there and kind of hit their marks, make sure that they get through those chicanes cleanly, every lap and not take a bunch of off tracks today that are very, very easy to get around here, as it kind of begs you to take liberties, on a few sections of the course, especially into T1, where we just saw him right there. It's so easy into that lattice work that they've put into the grass, I believe, just to kind of open the track a little and so you don't spin out. It's really easy to go a little too wide into this section here as well, just looking for more time.
Yeah, and they did something rather similar to the kink and the exit of the kink at Road America this past offseason. They added in a little bit of concrete on the outside to make it, instead of just being a complete transition from curb into grass, they decided to do that, give the drivers a bit more to try and work with so it wouldn't be so easy to just completely loop it. But it can have a unintended effect of allowing these racers to utilize the track a little bit more, push those track limits more. And that's part of the reason why a lot of F1 tracks nowadays have a small little strip of gravel on the outside of the curb, which I think looks absolutely stupid, but that's neither here nor there. If anyone looked at me, they'd probably say that I look stupid. So do I really have room to stand on there? But Guido Marzucchi currently holding on to that pole right now. Guido's actually been a bit of a qualifying maestro thus far this season, has grabbed multiple poles, was able to start at the front at the Saxon Ring, started from the front at Bank Decor, started from the front at VIR. I don't believe he started directly on the pole at Lebanon last time out, albeit I haven't updated my notes. Shows you the true professional that I am. But Guido's been really quick in qualifying throughout this season.
Yeah, definitely. And when you can be quick in qualifying, to me, that just really does say something, especially when you've done it at a couple different tracks here now. If he's not first, he's right at the pointy end, and he's been qualifying well. He's got something in this car. He's on a bit of a run. It seems to happen when you get that win. It kind of just seems to snowball more wins. And, Felix Simoes knows all about that, getting all kinds of wins here in the Formula V Weekend Warriors, as well as the FFs and even in the SRFs as well. As we're having a look here at Alan Degassis, who's moved his way up from about 5th place to 3rd here now in the Masters with a 157.976. See if he can improve here at all. And it doesn't look like he is going to improve on that one. But Nate Colasio just behind him, and then Andy Middleton now resigned himself back to 5th place with about 3 minutes left in the session.
Yeah, so time ticking down. I do want to amend a statement that I made a few moments ago talking about how Guido did not start the race at Lebanon from the pole. He did, so I will see myself at when it comes to that, but he has been super quick all throughout this season. As Alan Degassis, he's been very quick in that Masters category all throughout this season. In fact, I do have the stats now updated. Started P4 in the last round of the championship at Circuit de Lebanon, racing in the rain, and that was not his first Masters pole thus far this season. In fact, it was his 5th. So to do that in the first 9 rounds of the season, he has been very quick in qualifying, currently pretty much in a league of his own right now in that Masters category, holding on to 3rd as you have to go back to Robin Howlett in the number 26 car to find your next Masters racer. Now, do we know that Robin Howlett is a Masters driver, even with that slight change in number potentially? The numbers can be a little bit spotty. I usually just go off the guide of any numbers that are below 200, it's a spec 1 racer. Anything above 200, and that is a spec 2 competitor, and 900 and above is usually Masters. But either way though, Robin Howlett, if that driver is in the Masters category, that is still a big gap between Alan Degassis and your next driver in Masters. Even if you have to go down to find Jim Brewster in 9th, that just adds to it even more.
Yeah, I believe you're probably right with Robin Howlett there. That may just be a bit of a mess up on our end here. We usually do go by the number, so what I'm going to do here is actually change it to S1 right about now, and then we will actually get our friend Stephen Hicks here as well on the list here. It looks like he is also not classed at the moment. So we do go by the numbers, like you said, Ron. If we don't know, then we default to the numbers. So that's what we're going to do with Robin today. And then we'll move Stephen Hicks here right away, as well as he's just finishing up just the wee hours of the laps here. He's going to see if he can't either maybe eye on the track a little bit better for himself here, learn something, or maybe pull over and take a little break.
You'll have to add him onto the list. It's quite fitting considering we are getting closer and closer to Christmas season. Christmas now a month away-ish. Close enough. It's a month and 3 days. I'm going to count it. Gosh darn it. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas indeed.
Sure
But
is.
with about 40 seconds left, and I'm going to swiftly and abruptly move on from me singing, because if I do any more of that, everybody's eardrums are going to bleed. Gotta wonder what's kind of racing we're going to have in store here. I feel like it's going to be a clash of the titans. I think we're going to have very strong racers up at the front. A lot of these racers, as I said, right towards the top end of the show, off the back of running in those SCCA iRacing runoffs. So they're already feeling in the groove. They're already feeling in the zone. They've got the juices flowing, and now I think they want to try and shine here in this FV Weekend Warriors race.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's pretty cool that the runoffs are kind of happening right now as well, so you get a chance to kind of jump around. Could be a busy day for some drivers out there as well, doing both events. And I think there's a few events on the runoffs as well. Yeah, it should be a pretty good one. We got a great field here. Again, looking fairly stacked here for S1 and S2 as well, as we're about to head over to our race session. Finally, we can pull up our starting grid.
Yeah, so let's take a look at that starting grid here for the 10th round of the season. And not for the first time this season, and will probably not be the last either. Guido Marzucchi will start from the pole, and that is now his third pole position in a row. Fantastic stuff from Guido. Felix Samoa is going to join him on the front row. It will be Alan DeGasta starting this race in third from another Masters pole for him. Nate Coliseo set to join him on the front row. Andy Middleton will start this race in fifth. Next to him will be Michelle Lynn, series admin, starting in P6 in the number 5 car. Robin Howlett from Ireland will start this race in seventh. Alongside him will be Respect 2 pole sitter of Martin Visser. Second week in a row that the driver of the 444 car starts a race from the Spec 2 pole. That's going to be Jim Brewster and Chris Montgomery completing your top 10.
Yeah, and then in 11th, we have Kurt Nunez. In 12th, we have Angel Soto. In 13th place, we have Scott Russell. 14th, Brian Straczynski. In 15th, Brian Hansen. 16th, Stephen Westcott. 17th, we have Dan Straczynski. 18th, we have Gary Kittle. 19th, Joshua Justice. Nick Tullo will be in 20th. Stephen Hicks in 21st. 22nd will be today's sponsor, Wayne Buttermore. Thanks, Wayne. And in 23rd, we have Weglars. And that'll round out our field today.
Yeah, pretty stacked grid of racers here for this 10th round of the championship, getting closer and closer to the end of the 2025 racing season, of course, in real life and in the sim as well. Going to be moving off into season 1 of 2026 here soon, which is a slightly terrifying prospect considering that I started doing this iRacing commentary stuff back in season 1 of 2023. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. Time marches along, and there's nothing that we can do about it. But Guido Marzucchi got to look to try and be the master of this race. He's got 30 minutes in front of him to try and grab win number 2. Won at VIR a couple of weeks ago, nearly won at Lebanon last time out. Let's see if he can capture another W here at Oulton Park with that pace car peeling off pit lane. The green flag's out. The drivers are on their way, and we're racing at Oulton Park. A big stack up a little bit farther in the back as everybody spreads out up at the front, and that's Guido jumping out to an early lead. Felix Samoa, your race winner last time out, Lebanon slotted in second as everybody looks to try and follow each other around through the first sector.
Yeah, this is definitely where you want to get it sorted out. That first corner really filters you down into one line, and if you don't get it just right, you can definitely squeeze somebody off the track or make some contact there. Again, this one being kind of difficult as well. And now as we head down, I believe this is Island Corner here. Again, this is another one that you really don't want to be 2 or 3 wide going through generally, but it looks like we are going to formation fly through it. And we're going to be okay here with the back of the pack. Back up to Guido Marzucchi, leading it into the chicane for the first time around the lap here. This, again, another spot in the first lap or two that just you got to filter down to one line. And see Felix Samoa taking a bunch of curb there. Nice and clean through there for our lead pack. We'll go back a little bit here. The Jim Brewster leading this other pack with Montgomery and a few other drivers here. Back to Brian Straczynski. We're looking good on this first lap so far, Ron.
I will say, as everybody has been driving off into the sunset up towards the front end of the field, there has been some pandemonium breaking out a little bit farther behind. Many a racer ran into difficulties right towards the start. I saw Josh Justice, Dan Straczynski, who actually has a meatball flag, Stephen Hicks, and Stephen Westcott all involved in that sort of drama right as they headed their way out of turn number 1. Turn 1, usually a bit of a choke point here at Oulton Park, and has proved to be the case yet again here in round number 10 of this season as we get into the final part of this lap. Guido is still leading over Felix Samoza, over Alan DeGassis, over Nate Colascio, who we haven't seen grab a victory thus far this season. It's been a little while since Colascio in that Chiquita Banana car has slipped his way up into that top step of the podium, but I feel like it's only a matter of time. He is a super quick racer, always shows up and always impresses here in this series, and with the top 4 breaking away, we can very well see Nate Colascio walking away from this race with a W.
Yeah, he's in a good spot right now. You know, like I always like to say, it's kind of where I like to be this early in the race. Leading can be difficult unless you really have the pace and the confidence. So, you know, back here you can kind of see what everybody's doing, the mistakes people are making, and then try to monopolize on them. You can kind of relax just a little bit more maybe than being up front or being, you know, in the middle of a pack like, say, Felix Samoza here, Alan DeGassis. A little bit more pressure, I would say, there. If we go back just a little bit more here, we're just going to see quite the pack of cars here going into Shell Oil's corner. Not an easy spot to keep it clean, Ron.
Yeah, it is a good spot to get a move done as we see the side-by-side racing going on right in front. That's Angel Soto and Kurt Nunez currently duking it out for the final 2 spots inside of the top 10. Looks like Soto has gotten the upper hand in that fight for now. Do want to raise, talking about this configuration of Oulton that we're running at here today. Don't usually see these drivers run on this race course with both chicanes. It's usually either just one or the other, sometimes neither, and you have that full unobstructed run from the exit of turn number 5 through into this turn Knickerbrook, which is an absolutely amazing. It sounds like an old cereal, and I absolutely adore it. That turn sounds absolutely scrumptious. But Guido Marzuki holding on to that top spot still. These top 4 have broken away from P5 to the tune of 5 seconds. So Martin Visser, your current Spec 2 leader, probably feeling a little bit lonely at this moment, as he does have Robin Howland right behind, but these two can't really battle because look at the train of cars right behind. You got Brewster, Montgomery, Soto, Nunez, Russell, Stasinski, Middleton, Kittle, Lynn, Tullo, and Justice, all covered by basically nothing.
Yeah, that is, this is definitely a gaggle, I would say, of cars, of V's in a row. You could see that shot just now there, all the way in the back. You can see Michelle's purple livery back there, and they are pretty much nose to nose, like we're seeing here, that Volkswagen logo just behind us. Pretty cool stuff here in the V's when you're able to formation fly like this for so long. You know, the cars don't go really quick, but I guarantee you the heart rates are flying in there. I guarantee you the palms are sweating. It feels like you're flying out there when you're right beside other people, and it's just a blast. It's super duper fun, and actually we're getting a bit packed up front here as well. Looks like they're probably trying to keep it fairly clean in the front, but let's maybe go back here if we can. Maybe we'll see going into Shell Oils here one more time before we go to a replay, as Montgomery is going to take a look up at the inside of Brewster. Brewster is not going to relinquish that spot easily and maybe lose 2 because of it. Nope, he's going to retain that second spot there. So nice move from Montgomery into Shell Oils there, but let's see if we can't catch up maybe to some incidents, because we definitely did have some run that I missed in the beginning there. Stephen Westcott to start us off here. 7, sorry.
Yeah, and I will say, and this is honest, the only reason why I had seen that is because I was on a slightly different camera angle because I didn't load the right camera pack before we got the race started. That was Justice spinning around and, yeah, just stacking up big time. I will say, though, an improvement over how the start went last season. I think we had some drivers flipping as they had their way through turn number 1 season ago. Here, however, they just collided with each other, which, you know, still not great, but they didn't turn upside down, so I guess that's what matters at the end of the day. We'll take a look at this from Stephen Westcott's perspective. That's Justice spinning. He gets clobbered about 5 times, and that is pretty much going to end his race lickety split. I will say, though, some amazing evasive maneuvers from the likes of Wayne Buttermore and others. Justice was one that started all of this. We'll see his perspective in this right here. I don't believe he was running in the Formula V's in the other runoffs earlier, but I know he was running in the SRFs, and there he is looping it around, everybody piling in as a result of all that. And Dan Szynski, I believe, was the one that picked up a meatball flag in the midst of all of that himself. He's dropped down to P23 in the 899 car, currently 11 seconds back of Doug Weglar's slotted in 22nd. That's a very tough way for things to go for your Spec 2 leader and Spec 2 winner from 1 race ago at Lebanon, as we did have some drama in the meantime with Felix Samoza getting a move done on Guido Marzuki, just taking the run as they had their way out of Brins. But something also went on with Nate Colascio, and I believe it was a slowdown. Saw that yellow flag before we cut to the replays.
Yeah, we missed a couple things there. It is coming in hot and heavy here at Oulton Park today for sure. We'll have to catch up to Coliseum. Looks like there was a little bit of an incident, perhaps with Michelle Lynn early on too. Maybe we'll try to get to that really quickly here and just see. Looks like it's going to happen coming down into Shell Oils or possibly through Island Bend here. So, you know, never usually good to go too wide through there, but they made it happen. Some good driving. And then we're just going to have a tiny spin, just getting sort of encroached on the inside of the track there, I think. You kind of tighten up a bit, really easy to spin the car there. But she's able to recover and make a comeback here already.
As Michelle looking to bounce back as a lot of drivers squabbling for spots. I think something's going on with Scott Russell. He's dropped down outside the train of cars that he was in. He's picked up a meatball flag down in P16. Yep. Something has most certainly happened to the driver of the number 22 cars. We look at this insane racing going on as they head their way down into turn number 15 at Druids. That is oh so close. We right on board with Kurt Nunez, seeing Angel Soto get shown the door by Robin Hallett as they headed their way down in there. Now Nunez got to look to try and jump into the spot as Hallett got to try and go side by side with Brewster as well into the final real turn, lodge corner of turn number 16 around this racetrack. Only one more turn after that of Deer Leap, and then you've got another lap in the books. We've seen a very dramatic start here, but unfortunately Scott Russell just the latest victim of the troubled bends surrounding Oulton Park.
Yeah, it looks like he's actually got two incidents here in a row. This should be the first one. I believe the second one might just be an off track, you know, trying to gather yourself up here. But let's have a look at exactly what happened. Are we going to get a tire barrel? And we are going to get a tire barrel. That was pretty head on. You don't usually see him quite that head on, but yeah, and then unfortunately he's just going to have a broken wheel and he'll pick up another off track here, hopefully not getting in the way of Josh Justice. No, and then he's off track. Unfortunately, tire barrel, or maybe we'll call them the Flint barrels. I do like that. I would not want to run into a piece of Flint. Reminds me of the Flint wall there at I believe it's Goodwood, the Goodwood Festival of Speed. That's we've got that big Flint wall there sticking out, always just ominous for those $1 million cars flying by. It reminds me.
Yeah, and I think it's fitting as well, considering that those Flint walls are about as welcoming as a flintlock pistol. As Felix Samoas, he's lost out on P2, and the reason why that was the case, he picked up a slowdown as they had their way through the Britain's chicane. That is the little brother of the chicanes on the back end of the circuit. Not only has that caused him to lose out on some time, it's caused him to lose out on the race lead as Alan DeGassis was able to jump into that spot. We see Felix kind of got all squirrely right at the start of that, hit the inside curb. You got to use all of the track to you to keep the momentum rolling, but unfortunately for Felix, hit that curb a little bit too hard, and yeah, the bunny hop strategy going on there.
Yeah, I noticed in qualifying he was actually using that line as well, and it actually kind of surprised me. I'm like, hey, maybe you can take that much curb going through there. I've never really tried quite that much, and it seems to be working for him, but looks like it bit him right there. He kind of bellied the car out a bit on it and skidded the car probably off of that curb, and it just bounced him a little bit, unsettled, and he was swung a bit wide and lost a position. But no, really, not too much harm done there. He's able to kind of, gather it back up, and now he's just behind the car in front of him there. He should be able to draft it pretty good, as we're getting pretty frenetic here in this back. This is where the racing is. You go a little bit behind the top competitors there a lot of the time, and that's where the racing's going to be. It's just tooth and nail for these positions back here. It's almost like they're fighting for first place, because in their mind they are. This is where I race. This is pretty much where I always am. I'm in 7th, 8th, 9th, 5th, something like that, and man, the racing back here can get tenuous for sure, as we're going to go too wide into Shell Oils. Bit of smoke coming there from Angel Soto's car. Not sure how well he made it through there. See if we can get a good look front. Yep, looks like he's doing okay. We'll stick with these guys for a minute here and just see how they're going to sort this out.
Yeah, it's gotten crazy here in this race. We're now officially a third of the way into it, and we've already seen our fair share of drama. But oh no, I think something may have just happened to Michelle. She's dropping down the running order, now down to 15th, and there it is. And you can see that just about shows it off right there. The skid marks heading off the track, heading down into, that was coming out of the Brins chicane. She's going to loop it around. I wonder if she may have had some assistance, or maybe the curb strike once again. Yes, they did, it looked like.
Yeah, those curbs, again, you can see her kind of just just asking the wrong thing of the car at the wrong time there, pretty much is what it looked like. The weight just kind of got thrown the wrong direction. Really easy to do there. It may even look like she was kind of checking her mirror, because I believe it was Brian Shazinski was just behind her, was really kind of looking almost like he was going to pull out and make a move, and it may have actually just thrown her off just a little bit there and took a funny hop, basically, kind of like Felix Samoes did. Almost gathered it up, but the car's weight just kind of took it one way, and unfortunately she's going to lose out on all that time she made up from the beginning. But she'll get back out there and keep charging forward here. I'm sure she'll make up a couple positions by the end, as we're still fighting for the lead here in the front. Now we have Alan Degassis leading Felix Samoes, Guido Marzucci, and Nate Colascio, and then you have to go back about almost 10 seconds now to 5th place to Jim Brewster. So we're saying, I believe it was about lap 3, we were about 3 or 4 seconds, now we're 10. So they are flying up here up front, and they're fighting pretty hard behind too.
As we've had another falling anvil come down, this time on Kurt Nunez. I think he's decided to just out and out call it a day. He's towed back to pit lane with a meatball flag. Chris Montgomery jumps his way up into 5th. One of the other Weekend Warriors racers that we saw out there on the racetrack for the iRacing SCCA runoffs a little bit earlier on here today. He's currently running in 5th in front of Series Admin Jim Brewster, who's still battling with your current Spec 2 leader of Angel Soto. That Spec 2 category has been really impressive to keep our eyes on throughout this race. Soto and Visser have been the ones duking it out for quite some time. If any sort of drama may go on between those two, however, it's a battle of the Bryans. This time Brian Hansen and Brian Szynski that would decide the Spec 2 class win, but right now it's a Spec 2 class top 3 between those two. As oh no, Nunez just loops it coming out of turn number 1, augers straight into that tire bundle. That's going to take him out of the race.
Yeah, kind of strange incidents we're having today, honestly, with the driver at the back of the pack here. So trying to make up a bit of time here, and it looks like he really gets some good rolling speed. Car checks up just a touch in front of him, and I think that's what did it. Just kind of threw him off. He ended up a little bit wide, a little bit on the curb, a little bit on the grass, and a little bit on the track, all at the same time. And that's just not going to work out sometimes. Totally unbalanced the car, and he ended up sideways there. We'll jump back up front here while we're still... It's like, Felix Samoes has now grabbed the lead, and Guido has also made his way through around Alan Degassis there, so new leader, and we're kind of just switching spots back and forth. That's kind of what you would expect around here. You're going to do a little bit of jockeying back and forth until the end. The main thing is just trying to keep it clean, trying to keep that car on track, trying to stay with this lead pack and be there for the end.
And I will say one other driver has gotten involved in this. It's Nate Colascio in that number 8 car. We pretty much completely wrote him off a little bit earlier on after he picked up that slowdown and lost out on the draft. Well, and all that battling between those racers right in front of him, he's been able to jump back into that draft at the tail end of that train, running in 4th at the moment, but still a lot of room to grow. As we see Nick Tullo getting a move done on Brian Szynski. That's a swap-a-roo for the final spot inside the top 10. Tullo, your current P3 runner of the Masters racers in the 981 car, jumping into that spot. We'll say as well, Tortello not running out here on the racetrack. I'm not sure how everything will work out with drop rounds. We unfortunately have not been given championship points as we head off into this round of the championship, but considering that Tullo wasn't here last week, well, Felix Samoes, his main championship rival, scored the victory, and he isn't here this week, and Felix Samoes is currently leading just past the halfway mark. Tullo may not be able to return to championship prowess like he was maybe expecting to.
Yeah, things aren't quite as easy, when you've been gone for a little while. Everybody else has been improving, and, we're not going to say that Tor hasn't been improving on time off. Let's be real. He has probably been improving, but so has everybody else here. So, yeah, it should be interesting to see how he's going to stack up when he does come back to our current winners and stuff here, because I believe they've found some pace here. Just watching Wayne Buttermore make his way through the chicane here. Today's sponsor, got to thank Wayne Buttermore a bunch for sponsoring the Formula Vs on these races. We can't do it without you guys. We really appreciate the sponsorship out there for sure. Wayne's been doing really good this year as well. Not quite so good today. He's kind of down at 18th. We usually see him, up hovering around the top 10-ish. So maybe this one's just not really a track for him today, but thanks again for the sponsorship. We'll jump back up front here with Felix Samoes, who is still leading the race. Guido Marzucci just behind here, so we'll see if he's got an answer for Felix by the end of this race here, but he's still got some other competitors with him as well who are going to want to change that. I have a feeling, Alan Degassis and Nate Colascio there are not just going to hang around and watch.
And see, now this is going to be a test of my Weekend Warriors knowledge, just down to the fact that I was not here for the Formula Ford race last week, but I think I did see the results and saw that the trend has remained the same throughout this season. We have yet to have a non-Spec 1 overall race winner here in this season of Weekend Warriors action. Hasn't happened here in the V's yet, hasn't happened in the Formula Fords yet, and it hasn't happened in the Spec Racer Fords yet. Always have to add in the yet, because as Russ Telker said after the comment that I made a little bit earlier on talking about a driver not flipping, you can never say never in the Weekend Warriors, both in terms of drivers breaking through with victories and also drivers going upside down. You can have a sprinkling of both here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, and that gives you a good reason to subscribe. Both that shameful plug out of the way. I think one great thing that we've had thus far this season of Weekend Warriors action, even though we haven't had non-Spec 1 drivers win in any three of our divisions, we have certainly had some talented racers that can most certainly buck that trend in the final 3 weeks of this season.
Yeah, absolutely. We've definitely seen we have seen some really good driving out of a few of the drivers here. Jim Brewster actually being one of them there, coming very close to winning a couple of these races this season, kind of back in about 6th place now, behind Chris Montgomery. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of improvement around the field, and some new drivers and stuff as well that are just sort of getting acclimated to the series and acclimated to the car/track for the end of the season here. So I'd be, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a bunch of kind of new winners and stuff happening in the next season here, or maybe even by the end of this season, as we're going to see Felix Samoes taking some interesting lines there. Really easy to do that in that corner. Guido is going to force the issue up the inside. So is Alan DeGassis, just on the side now of Felix Samoes on the inside. Maybe he's got the good line there. He's going to be able to retain that position from Alan DeGassis. But Guido's going to take that one into Shell Oils. No problem there. Tiny little mistake from Felix Samoes, and Guido's allowed to grab it, or is able to grab it, sorry.
Yeah, so Guido jumping up into that top spot. Guido's been really impressive thus far this season. We're not just saying that because he's our Slow Motion Broadcasting colleague. He's been quick, like even quicker than usual. Last season took a bit of a step back from Formula V competition. Had some drama going on with him throughout the other early stages of last season. So Guido decided to take a step away, kind of reevaluate things, and give himself a small little break, and it worked out fantastically for him. So he was able to return to prowess here in this season. It has been a fantastic run for Guido, as has been a fantastic run for many other racers throughout this series. You know, I talk about the Masters category, how intriguing that has been with Andrew Love taking the step from Spec 2 into that Masters category. He's certainly given us a lot to talk about throughout this season across all three of our divisions. Even the Spec 2 category, with this battle that we've got on screen right now between Brian Hansen, your P3 runner in the Spec 2 class, and Nick Tullo, your P3 runner in the Masters class. Still love to see these battles going on between these Spec 2 racers week in and week out. Hansen thought about the fact that he was going to have to worry about Nick Tullo on the inside of him as they headed their way down into turn number 16, but did not work out. Tullo still remains in P10. They have to worry about some pressure with Brian Szynski right in tow. So we'll have to keep an eye on all of these battles. I will say, though, to all of you tuning into this broadcast, I hope you enjoy the action here from the Formula V Weekend Warriors. Still got two absolutely amazing races to look forward to. It's a Formula V's. They always want to put on a good battle. You know, I was actually tuning in to that SCCI runoffs broadcast a little bit earlier on while I was making breakfast, and right towards the end of the race, the driver, I think there was about 7 cars covered by about a second and a half at most as they headed their way out of the kink into Canada Corner for the final time. That is madness. Road America, I should say, always puts on some good racing. Road Atlanta was the old home of the SCCA National Championship runoffs, but Road America always puts on a good show with the Formula V's, puts on a good show with the Spec Racer Fords as well, and you'll be able to catch the Spec Racer Fords running there in just about 24 hours time here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. In the meantime, though, Felix Samoes has been able to jump his way up into that top spot once again. The driver of the number 1 car back on his rightful throne.
Yeah, back up front there, as we saw, I believe that was Angel just having a bit of a moment there going into the chicane, getting on the clappers as hard as possible to avoid Chris Montgomery. Sarah had to step away for a sec there, had a little emergency in the booth here. Somebody at the booth knocking on the door, would not leave, had to go and check it out there. They had to step away for just a moment, but I am back now. Felix Samoa is definitely still up front here. These, you know, kind of shuffled back and forth here a little bit, but haven't really changed too much about this pack now. 12 seconds ahead of 5th place. Jim Brewster leading that pack back there in 5th place now. Pretty awesome stuff so far. Honestly, this has been a little bit of a hard one to keep up with action-wise. There is a lot going on out there on track, at least all the way back to about 12th place. There is a bunch of packs. He is just going to fire grass into Guido's face.
Yeah, that may be the least intimidating Mario Kart truck that I think I've ever seen. Nope, we're not going to spray oil out of the back of the car. Grass. Fume. It's just throw a salad at people. But Felix still holding on to that top spot at the present moment. Guido slotted in second with Aldegassis and Nate Coliseum, completing your top 4 pack that is just driven away. 12 seconds between themselves and Jim Brewster running in P5 at the present moment. We'll use this as an opportunity to say hi, Tam, in the YouTube chat. Anyways, with that taken care of, that is, we always have to do that. We love you, Tam. Yep. But now, 7.5 minutes left to go in this race. Felix once again running the bunny hop strategy off over the curbs. That does make sense, because if you kind of go half and half with the curbs will go half and half on you and send one half of the car into the barrier and stuff it completely in. The other half of your car is going to fly back off the track, broken away from the chassis.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to put it, actually. If you go half and half with the curb, they will give you half and half of what they have to knock your car off the track, as we've seen today here. And you know, maybe next time I come to Oulton Park, I'm definitely going to charge into that first chicane a little harder than I ever have after watching a few of the drivers do it today. You can get away with it. Maybe I won't get away with it, and I haven't gotten away with it many times, but perhaps I can finally find a good line through there, because I've never really been able to do it, and I've seen a couple people now today just roast that line really, really well. So I'd like to be able to learn that one for sure. Maybe grab a couple tips off some of the drivers here. But let's have a little bit look back here in the pack a bit. Nick Tullo here bringing up 10th place. Brian Straczynski just behind him. Andy Middleton just behind Brian. So pretty good group of cars here as well that we're probably going to see fighting for position by the end of the race. Joshua Justice doing a really good comeback drive here, being you know, pretty much dead last, I believe, there by the end of T1. And now he's up to 13th, so doing pretty good. Gary Kittle just behind him. And then Michelle Lynn, we saw having a little bit of troubles here today, unfortunately, finding some curb there as well. Really easy to do. Stephen Westcott back here in 16th. And then, yeah, behind that, we have a few more drivers down there. Dan Straczynski. Not an easy track out here today, so probably some people having a little bit of trouble. But back up front, Felix Samoa is still leading this pack of cars here. Not able to break away today.
Yeah, Felix is still the Pied Piper, and as you just said, Josh, we haven't seen a breakaway go on. These top 4, they broke away very early on in this race. Oh, goodness. It's going to be close between Chris Montgomery and Jim Brewster. The two cars linking together like Velcro as they headed their way out of the turn, and now they're going to go side by side as they head their way off through the chicane. Look at that move from Chris Montgomery. Can he make it work? He cannot contact, made wheel-to-wheel bumper cars as they head their way out of the chicane onto the back straightaway. Brewster able to jump up to P5. Angel Soda nearly got the 2-for-1 deal, the Black Friday special on 2 Formula Vs right up in front. He nearly jumped his way up into the top 5. He didn't, though. And the fact that those racers managed to go side by side in the way that they did, and most of all kept it clean, and were able to remain in the exact same spots that they started that battling off in, they all need to go out and buy a lottery ticket. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, totally. We were fully interlocked wheels there for what felt like forever, and they were able to keep it going. That is not something you get away with usually, where like Chris Montgomery's car pretty much hit the body of the left side of Jim's car, fully interlocked wheels, and then after that they went axle to axle, as we're again going to go too wide here. Not going to be the quickest way to get through there. You're going to have to try to sort that out as quickly as possible, or Jim will run away with this pack here. You cannot fight each other too hard here, or you will lose him. And it looks like they're going to go side by side here through T1 again. They're going to play chicken with each other a little bit. Got Montgomery on the bit of a better line there for exit, and it looks like he's going to win that one out for now. But yeah, some really close racing there, and even an axle-to-axle hit. Not something you see all the time, as we got Guido Marzucci taking the lead through Island Bend. Not where you see it usually. Oh, you're going to fight back.
Yeah, but Oh, yeah, here we go. Felix Samoa is not going to take that sitting down as here we go side by side as they head their way out of 5 into 6 through the chicane right back now. Who's going to back out? It's going to be Samoa's, and understandably so. Side by side racing all through this chicane. You can make it work, but in the same sense that you wouldn't want to go ice fishing with shorts and a t-shirt on. Now look at Samoa's looking to fight back as they head their way down the back straightaway into the second chicane, and this is going to work out a lot better for Felix as he jumps into that top spot once again. This game of lead car leapfrog has been amazing.
Yeah, that was a ballsy move from Samoa's, and you have to have a driver like Guido out there to make a move like that happen. This is two very good drivers. They know how they're going to drive. If Guido would have tried to force that issue, there'd have been 2 cars missing wheels, and that would have been it. Either that, or you're so slow through there, you just lose a bunch of positions. But he thinks better of it. He's a better driver than that. He's got better racecraft than that. He let Felix Samoa's go through, and he retains the position there and lives to fight another day, and that's exactly how you want to do it. Guido really thinking in the car these days, very impressed with his driving, and this race ain't over yet.
Yeah, it is still far from over. Got a lot of racing to look forward to here today. Got a lot of racing action to look forward to this weekend here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. But never mind the plugs. We've got a side-by-side fight between Degassis and Coliseum downtown to 1. And that's going to be Degassis holding on to P3. They're going to maybe try and form... is this going to break from just a 4-car fight to a 2-2? Are we going to see maybe Alan Degassis and A. Coliseum work together? Will we see Felix Samoa's and Guido Marzucchi work together? If I flash my mind back, though, to the last time that we saw the Formula V's race here at Oulton Park, it was a season opener 1 season ago, and incidentally, it was your P3 and P1 runners running together, as that was Nate Coliseum shaving the wheel of Alan Degassis as they headed their way off through Island Bend. You can tell that was a close quarters moment based off the fact that my tongue got wrapped around my teeth very briefly there. Got some side-by-side racing as well. Chris Montgomery and Jim Brewster right there on the left-hand side as they headed their way into the chicane. These racers are causing us to lose track of everything, lose track of our breath, lose track of taking sips of water. I got my glass of water, and it is completely full from what I started with. This race has been so exciting.
Yeah, it's actually the same thing with me. I got my wife made me a nice smoothie here to drink before I started the broadcast today. I take maybe 1 sip out of it since we started here. I forgot. So, that's a good sign for us up here in the booth. I haven't had a chance to have a snack. Haven't had a chance to take a drink really here or anything at all. It's been pretty action-packed stuff here on round 10 of the Formula V Weekend Warriors here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. It's been quite the season, and we're wrapping it up pretty good here. Still have a couple races left. Of course, we're not quite done yet, but yeah, we've definitely seen some good driving out of everybody. Everybody seems to have kind of come up a notch or two in the last season or so. You can come all the way back to 10th place here, and we're still fighting. So, again, like I was saying, I think near the end of this race here, we're going to have 3 or 4 packs kind of all fighting for position. It might be a little difficult for me to keep up. I will do my best here. I'm seeing a lot of red numbers, meaning that there is quite a few fights going on out there at the moment. We're watching one of them here with Joshua Justice and Nick Tullo going to take him on the inside into the final corner here. This is not somewhere you want to see somebody trying to wedge you on the inside. It just compromises the corner so badly. But it looks like they got through there pretty quick, side by side, actually. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, to go side by side off through any section of this racetrack is usually a bit of a tough ask. We got some battling up at the front, though, with a white flag in the air. One more lap of racing action here at Oulton Park, and it's Marzucchi and Samoa's once again battling it out for the race lead. Nate Coliseum, though, in a really good spot. He has to check up big time through 5. That may give Guido a good opportunity to try and stretch out his legs. However, you still got that back straightaway to worry about once they head their way off through this first chicane for the last time here in this race. Look at Felix running it all over the track, trying to get the run, and he's got it. There we go, side by side, as they head their way into the final chicane for the last time here in this race. Guido going to be on the inside, Felix on the outside with a whole head of speed. They make contact nearly off through the turn, but that's going to be Guido holding on to it. Holy cow. Guido is able to muscle his way back up into that top spot. It was going to be a hard ask for Felix to try and hold on to that race lead with a move around the outside into the chicane. He certainly gave it the old college try, but it's still not over yet. Look at him. Felix once again diving down the inside, now into Druids, who's going to win out in this fight. Guido going to be slow on the outside. Samoa's keeping that momentum rolling. They touch and bang wheels. Look at Coliseo and DeGassis. They're there to pick up the pieces in case these two come to blows, but as they head their way into the final turn with that checkered flag out in the air, Felix Samoa is going to lead him out the turn, but Marzuki is closing. They come right to the line. Who's going to win this race? It's Felix.
Wow, what an amazing race there at the end, and some serious driving from Guido there to hold that position as long as he did, especially through that chicane. That swipe he sort of made down in front of the cars, perfectly timed. Man, you know, it's that big long straightaway there. You just cannot hold off, unfortunately, other drivers coming down that straight, and they all raced so very clean there. That was a clinic from all of those drivers in exactly how to race clean, how to respect your competitors around you, and at the same time as being you know, as aggressive as you can in the car. That was absolutely excellent driving from everybody.
And breathe. Yeah. Oh man, I had to catch my breath after that finish. I nearly gave.
Well, we got a race for the line here with Wayne Buttermore as well. Looks like he's going to win this one out, though. So right at the end there, they were definitely squabbling for position right to the end here for 17th place with Dan Trzynski just behind Wayne Buttermore today, our sponsor. So having some fun all the way back to the back of the pack here. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, everybody's squabbling up here. You love to see it. My lungs don't love to see it. My vocal cords don't love to see it, but I do, and that's the reason why I'm happy. Felix Samoa is going to walk away with the second straight win. Guido gave it one hell of an effort, though. That was brilliant stuff between those two. That is how you do a Formula V battle. No need to shove each other off the racetrack, even with a little bit of contact as they had their way out of Druids. That was amazing stuff, and I want to hold on this helicopter shot as they headed their way to the line, because it was a matter of inches between all of these racers. I mean, look at the battling as they closed up to the line. Guido, if that start finish straightaway was even about 250 feet farther down the track, he may have been able to walk away with the W here in this race. All four of them, though, what do you say it probably was, Josh, at the very end? Like 2 car lengths, maybe 1.5 at the very least.
Yeah, at least. This section here, too, the way he kind of just kept that outside line, missed each other's axle by about 1 millimeter there. Some just beautiful driving from Guido there, and spatial awareness for him to almost make that work there. And as well from Felix Samoa to not make contact and then be able to come back for that charge and the win right at the very end there. Some just fantastic racing from everybody here today.
That is the kind of racing you love to see. From a broadcaster's perspective, that's incredible. And I'm sure from a viewer perspective, to all of you tuning into this broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, that had to have been quite some fun as well. If you did enjoy the show, though, how about you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell?
I think they did.
That was, I think, a tire smooch between the front right of Felix Samoa's and the rear left of Guido's car.
Yes, it was a tender little smooch there for sure. Not a hard kiss, but a smooch. I think you got it right there for sure. And that's how you do it. You know, only if you are that talented can you smooch a tire. And that's just the way it goes. Well done out there for sure today.
I think we're going to get those results loaded up here and kind of give ourselves the opportunity to move off into the interviews so we can collectively catch our breath, because wowzers, what a race here today. Felix Samoa walks away with the W as he's on track for his second straight championship. It's going to be Guido Marzuki, second straight runners-up finish, but he gave it one hell of an effort as we got to the end of this race. Nate Coliseo rounds out your podium in third in front of your Masters winner of Alan Degas, is completing that train of 4 cars that were the breakaway pretty much from the drop of the green through to the fall of the checkered. At the end of over 30 minutes of racing, the fact your top 4 in this race were covered by a 10.5. Only here in the Formula V Weekend Warriors can you see something like that. Chris Montgomery finishes in 5th in front of Angel Soto, your Spec 2 class winner here, finishing this race in P6 overall. Jim Brewster, Series Admin, will finish in 7th in front of Martin Visser in 8th. Joshua Justice will finish in 9th with Brian Szynski completing your top 10.
Yeah, and then in 11th, we have Nick Tullo. In 12th, Andy Middleton. 13th, Brian Hansen. In 14th, we have Gary Kittle. 15th, Michelle Lynn. 16th, Stephen Westcott. Wayne Buttermore, today's sponsor from the Back Racing. In 17th, we should start actually trying to get those team names in. Szczynski Motorsports, Dan Szczynski. In 18th, and if we can scroll here, a little WD on her. There we go. Stephen Hicks, Privateer. In 19th, Doug Weglars from Fighting Irish Racing. In 20th. 21st, we have Robin Hallett. 22nd, we have Kurt Nunez. And from Garden State Racing Team, Scott Russell in 23rd, having a bit of trouble today.
And so those are your results from round number 10 of the Formula V weekend warriors, with Felix Samoas bagging the victory here today. We'll drag Felix in to have a quick little chat, kind of ask him about how his day has gone, because he was out on track for the Spec Racer Fords for the SCCA iRacing runoffs a little bit earlier on. And I do want to make one thing quite clear. I did volunteer to be a part of that broadcast. I stuck my hand out, but they did not pick me, although I heard that I was in consideration, which I could cut this two ways. Totally understandable. The guys they put on there, absolutely amazing commentators, and they do a stand-up job all the time. And I love being on these weekend warrior shows as well. Or I can cut the other way. Oh no. 2026 will have to be my year. Alrighty, let's have a chat with Felix here at the end of this broadcast, because I want to know what his nerves were like at the end. Felix, welcome into the booth. P1 at the end of this race, and what a fight between you and Guido on that last lap. How about you talk us through it?
Yeah, hi guys. Yeah, it was fun. It was a good race. As always when we race with Guido, and most of the guys here, of course, but Guido is always fun. So it's clean. We know we can push side by side and have some fun. And it turned out to be on my side. Could have been for him. So I think we had very similar pace. So in the end, yeah, I came on top. But other than that, it was a good race. We had some side by side moments. And not much to say about it. It was a fun race.
Yeah, that looked like a whole lot of fun from the drop of the green through to the fall of the checkered. Y'all gave us one hell of a battle to talk about here in the booth. I want to ask you, though, about the day as a whole, because I believe you were out on track there for the SCCA iRacing runoffs running in the Spec Racer Fords. I did not get a chance to tune into the SRS, but I did get a chance to tune into the Vs. But how was your race in the SRS?
The thing is, I was out for most of the day. I came home just before the V races, the V's race start. I did the V's race, and then all my references were messed up for the SRF, and that meant I had a terrible qualifying. Yesterday I qualified with a 26.8, I think, on a qualify race, and today I did like a 27. High 27, so almost 1 second off what I could have done. That meant I started 12th, and then in the middle of the pack, I tried to be cautious at the beginning. I lost several positions, and then I got tagged. It can happen on those kinds of races, big pack, and not some people that don't race with us usually. So it wasn't that good. And then I tried to recover. I dropped to 20th, I think. Then I tried to recover. In the end, it was an okay race, but up to a point when I got alone, like 5 seconds behind the lead pack, which had like 10 cars, and I was some seconds ahead of the car behind. And I was pushing. I was gaining slightly in the I was gaining to the front pack because they were all stepping on each other's toes. But I only gained positions until 7th by other people that were having problems, like Jason and others, basically with freebies. So I started 12th, I think. I dropped to 20th. Then I climbed up to 7th with lots of overtakes and freebies. That was pretty much it.
I think you'll be a heck of a lot happier with the win here in the Formula V race here today.
Yes,
but I'll always love to see the weekend Warriors drivers out there on track for the runoffs. But
and it was a shame because I didn't do any qualify race for the V's. So I did race, but I got the second split. I won it, but it was a shame I couldn't do the top split for the Vs. Yeah.
Yeah, so love to see you out there on track, and of course love to see you out there for the Formula V Weekend Warriors, walking away with your second straight victory. Must be feeling good as we head off into Okayama for round number 11 next week.
Yes, I like Okayama a lot. So let's see how it goes. It's good. I mean, so Thor was not able to join today. I don't know, he has his reasons. But I might get a shot of winning this again if he keeps not showing up, because when he shows up, normally he wins. At least he finishes ahead of me. So let's see how it goes. So this win it's an important one towards the goal of keeping the championship, the number one on my car. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I know. Considering how much of an alien Tor is behind the wheel of any sort of race car he hops into, we'll just say that he's been abducted by a UFO, and that's the reason why he's not out there on the racetrack. But Felix, as per usual, I'd like to give the thanks and shout outs.
As usual, everyone keeping these races, the league going, everyone taking part and making this such a fun event to be in. You guys in the commentary booth, and a huge shout out to Wayne for sponsoring today's race. It's much better when we have the broadcast. So cannot thank enough people when people sponsor the races. That's it.
Yeah, and we always love doing these broadcasts too, even if it means that I have to go out and buy more bags of cough drops after a battle on the last lap like you and Guido had. But we always that's a good problem to have, I feel. But Felix, thank you for joining us. Well done on the win, and looking forward to seeing you out there at Okayama.
Yeah, me too. So.
And that right there was Felix Simoes, your race winner here at Oulton Park. And Josh, I will let you have the chat with our P7 finisher here in this race, P2 in the Masters category, and series admin, Jim Brewster.
Yeah, let's pull Jim in here. Jim, that was quite the race out there. There was action everywhere. We saw a little bit of action from you guys in the pack, but there was so much going on, we may have missed some of it. How was it out there for you today? Looked like it was quite the race.
Well, Chris Montgomery tried to kill me. We went through the hairpin and then the whole first chicane side by side. And as we're coming out of the hairpin, you can see in your peripheral vision when your tires overlap and his tire almost touches your bodywork and you catch it out of the corner of your eye. It's like, I'm pretty sure that's not supposed to be here. And I just watched the replay and took a videotape of it. And yes, our wheels totally overlapped. No. So 4 of us had a great fight. And then, so Chris ended up winning the battle. Angel Benitez Soto got me on the last lap, and then I was third of the bunch, and then Martin. So they end up winning. They end up getting S2 first and second, Angel and Martin. But unfortunately, this is just the way life is. Me and Chris know each other, and we trust each other a lot. And we weren't quite sure about the other guys because we don't know them as well. So when the 2 of us were up front, we would sort of cooperate quite a bit and sort of take up a lane and a half, 2 lanes going into each corner when we're vulnerable, because if you have 2 cars to work with. But I think that's just the way racing is, that if you're racing super close to somebody that you have raced with a million times and you totally trust, then you do a little bit of cooperating. And but anyway, Angel ended up getting past me on the last lap anyway, but believe me, he worked for it.
He sure did, and we did catch that overlap of wheels. He pretty much touched the body of your car. He fully interlocked.
Oh yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I saw the. It's really weird because honestly, it's sort of weird because the tire at speed sort of appeared white. It must have been a sun reflection, but I just caught it out of my peripheral vision. It's like that's not supposed to be there. Anyway,
man, you guys got away with it. It was pretty great.
A lot of us are doing the runoffs, and it's been a lot of fun racing qualifying races all week. Unfortunately, this morning's V and surf races were a little bit crash fest, but we got a whole nother round coming tonight, 9 o'clock tonight. I know I'm going to try to do 5 of the 6. I'm doing everything except GT4, but it's so wonderful to come back into this environment after being out in the public all week and racing with some weekend warriors, and weekend warriors represented pretty well in the first, second. I don't know about the third split, but it's so nice to come back here where you just know you don't have people just diving and going 3 wide into every single corner and just going crazy. It's such a relaxed. I mean, not that today's racing was relaxing, but in comparison, it was, because it was this whole week at Road America with, we had 99 Formula Vs. It was 33 in each split.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
There's a lot of wild cards in 99 Formula Vs.
Yeah, there sure is. Yeah, and you bring up a good point there as well with the league racing. You're never gonna find as good league racing as you are when you can just race with people every week and you have a bit of respect for each other. You get into those official lobbies and holy cow, the gloves come off, and you really need to start having a good offense as your best defense generally out there. You raise a very good point there, and we love watching the respect that you guys show each other on track and stuff as well. Today was just fantastic, but difficult course,
Well,
definitely.
I don't know if you heard from anybody. They changed the curbs quite a bit, so the course was much harder than it has in the past. Things like turn three, that inside curb, you always had tires on that, and you couldn't dare touch it. To be honest, if we come back here, I think we might skip the first chicane. It was Guido was the master. He was going faster than anybody, and he told you the technique was to close your eyes and pray. And you just had to take a chance. You just had to just dive on it and bounce over both curbs. But I think, I don't know, maybe this is more realistic. Maybe the real curbs really are this nasty, but they really made a difference. And anyway, so maybe we'll just use the second chicane. Or I like the no chicane version. Some people complain that that's just too much drafting, but to me, with Formula V racing, can there be too much drafting?
Yeah, I like the no chicane version of this track too. Getting that right hander there at speed is not an easy one every lap and stuff too. So I think it provides some pretty good challenge as well into there as well, Jim. But we're headed out, I believe, to Okayama full course next time around. That is one of Guido's, I believe, favorite places of all time. So it's going to be a little hard to beat him around there, I think.
He's been just going so fast. Okayama is definitely my favorite. We have to get to the data. So in the next 2 weeks, what's really critical for you guys talking about points is how many races people have and who's dropping and who's not, because that'll make huge jumps and leaps, in the points. And since I don't have the points on the external, I don't have access to the points anymore. So we'll have to work together and get with Stevie and find out, because, in the next couple of weeks, that's all the point changes are going to be related not to what happens on track, but who has 9 races and who doesn't have 9 races.
Right.
So that's going to be a big thing.
We'll make sure we get the points next week for sure. Talk about it a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. Get your thanks out here before we let you go.
Yeah, thanks for everything, guys. That was a lot of fun. I hope it was a good show. I'm sure it was. I think up front they were putting on just as crazy as a fight as we had. So we had 4 and then 4, and I don't know I assume there's even some craziness behind us too. But thanks for everything, guys. We miss you when we were watching the runoffs. It's just not the same without the slow motion crew there.
It sure is, isn't it? Yeah, it's a great crew we have here, and we thank you so much for the good driving out there and the kind words, Jim. We'll see you next week at Okayama.
You bet. See ya. Bye-bye.
See, it would be a time like this where I'd say, RaceSpot has a fantastic crew as well, and then I would have comedic silence. If my camera was on, you'd be able to see me winking. I should probably not say that, considering I am still an employee of RaceSpot.
They're great. They put on a great
I do not want to risk
there.
my employment there. Yeah, they do put on a fantastic job.
Really
Arjuna, even though he once called me Ron Maunz on a broadcast.
And they called Guido, what did they call him again? Guido Jacuzzi?
Guido Mars Jacuzzi, I believe it was. I'll have to inform Guido about that. I'm sure he will be quite pleased with that information, considering how much he was yelling in my ear about mispronouncing Piratella in the track guided Imola for the Spec Racer Fords 1 week ago. But no, Arjuna's a great guy. Fun fact about when I was on the Bathurst 12 show earlier on this year, though, I nailed the open by my standards. I usually don't compliment anything that I do in the broadcast booth, which is why there was a joke that I was actually going to say about what Jim said in terms of Guido saying close your eyes and pray. Guido actually has a similar saying for whenever he's producing a broadcast that I'm commentating on, and that is plug your ears and pray. But no. So before that broadcast, knowing that it was Arjuna, and obviously everybody knows Arjuna, 2-time VCO Simi award-winning iRacing commentator, IMSA presenter, great commentator, cool guy as well. I was having a panic attack for my first 25 minutes on that show. I somehow managed to pull it together, but that's neither here nor there. However, before we get out of here, Josh, Okayama in 1 week's time. That's gonna be another draft heavy one, but with some technicalities thrown in the midst.
Yeah, it absolutely will be. You know, everybody knows that track so well. I would expect that we're going to have a pretty good race around there as well as we did here. Lots of practice around Okayama, but that's obviously not all we have for you coming up here as well. We have the Weekend Warriors tomorrow. FF 1600s at Sonoma Cup Short. I'm going to see if I can get up early enough to get that one. We do have to fix the times on here. I don't believe those times are correct, but we are tomorrow in the Spec Racer Forge at Road America as well. Been there a few times with that crew, so I have a feeling that one's going to be a pretty gnarly race as well around Road America. Lots of drafting in the SRFs. And then XSLR Sonoma again. We're hitting the RX course there. Hopefully be out on track for that one as well. F4s at Misano coming up on November 25th, and then F3s on the 26th. Road Atlanta GP almost rounding out the seasons there too. We're getting into the wee hours of the season, and then we're back. The Formula V's at Okayama on the 29th, and of course the weekend again on Sundays we have again the 1600s and the Spec Racer Ford at Lebanon and at I'm not even sure where that is. Juarez. I've never heard it put that way, but there's our schedule.
Yeah, so a lot of actions to look forward to here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. I will give you all a fantastic bit of news that many people will rejoice about all over the world because of the unique way that my schedule works out. I'm not actually going to be on either Weekend Warriors broadcast tomorrow, which will be the first time that I've done the Vs and not the FFs and the Spec Racer Fords since I think probably season 4 of 2024. So it's been a very long time. Actually, no. I just remembered Memorial Day Sunday. That completely escaped my memory. But regardless, still some absolutely amazing action to look forward to here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Gives you an amazing reason to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of it. And if you're in the mood for some more SMB action, happy to take a look at some of our YouTube shorts and full-length videos to keep you entertained all throughout. And there may be a new full-length video coming out in the not too far off future, so stay tuned for that. But as for this broadcast here for round number 10 of the Formula V Weekend Warriors at Oulton Park, that will just about do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz and Joshua Wilkie working the comms and the cams with me on today's show, I say thank you all so very much for tuning into the action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting today, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.